Welcome to the Stoic Manhood Guide. Let's talk about the single most painful thing a man can hear from a woman he cares about. It's not, it's over. It's those four dreaded words, I don't feel a connection. You're left completely confused. You did everything you thought you were supposed to do. You were strong, you provided, you were a rock for her. But what if I told you that the very qualities you were taught are your greatest strengths, are often the biggest weaknesses when it comes to true intimacy? Here is the painful paradox many men live with. They build a fortress around their own emotions to appear strong, and then wonder why nobody can ever truly get inside. She might share something vulnerable, and instead of connection, she gets a solution. He hears a problem to be fixed, but she was sharing a feeling to be understood. So let me ask you this, and be honest. Have you ever built that fortress? Have you ever answered, I'm fine, when you weren't, and in that moment, felt a little bit of distance grow between you and her? In this video, we are going to dismantle that fortress, brick by brick. We're going to explore what a profound, soul-deep connection actually looks like. We will break down the 7 pillars of emotional connection that women desire above almost anything else. This isn't about becoming weak. It's about unlocking a deeper, more authentic, and far more powerful part of yourself. By the end, you'll understand how to become the one man who provides not just physical safety, but profound emotional safety. And that is a feeling a woman will never want to leave. Pillar number 1, the secret of emotional accessibility. The first and most crucial pillar is emotional accessibility, which is the exact opposite of being that stoic, impenetrable rock that many men think they need to be. Society has sold men a lie. We've been taught that strength is being a black box, never showing a crack in the armor, never admitting to a moment of doubt or frustration. When she asks, "How was your day?" the conditioned response is a flat, "Fine." We believe we are protecting her from our stress or boredom, but from her perspective this is not protection. It is a rejection. It is a closed door. It leaves her on the outside, guessing what's really going on in your head, which breeds anxiety and a profound sense of loneliness in the relationship. She cannot connect with a fortress. The solution is not to become weak or needy. It is to have the quiet confidence to be authentic, to grant her access to your inner world, and to genuinely want to enter hers. It's the difference between saying, "I'm fine," and having the strength to say, "Honestly, work was frustrating today. I felt like I wasn't being heard in a meeting, and it put me in a funk." That single sentence of genuine self-disclosure does more to build a real connection than a dozen expensive dinners ever could. Why? Because it's real. It's an invitation. It tells her, I trust you enough to see me when I'm not at my best. So, I want you to ask yourself this. When was the last time you replaced the easy answer of fine with an actual, honest feeling when she asked about your day? This doesn't mean you should unload all your deepest fears at once. It means having the strength to admit to small vulnerabilities. I'm a little nervous about that presentation tomorrow. Or even, I tried cooking that new recipe and I completely failed. It was a disaster. This isn't weakness. It's the very birthplace of connection, because it shows her you are human. Finally, let her see your passion. Don't hide the things you geek out about. Whether it's a deep knowledge of history, a love for building things, or an obsession with a particular film director. Talking about what genuinely excites you shows her a part of your soul. That raw enthusiasm is infinitely more attractive than trying to seem cool and detached. An emotionally accessible man is not a puzzle to be solved. He is a world to be explored. Pillar number 2, the power of active validation. The second pillar, active validation, might be the single most misunderstood skill in human communication. Most men think that listening is about being quiet until it's their turn to talk. Or even worse, they listen with the sole purpose of solving the problem. This is a huge, connection-killing mistake. When a woman comes to you with an issue, stressed about work, upset about a friend, or feeling overwhelmed, her primary need in that moment is almost never a solution. Her primary need is to feel seen, heard, and understood. The man who immediately jumps into fix-it mode, while often well-intentioned, is subtly invalidating her feelings. He is sending a silent message that her emotional state is an inconvenience, a problem to be erased, not an experience to be shared and understood. She doesn't want a consultant, she wants a partner. The solution is the art of making her feel seen and heard on an emotional level. You must learn to communicate. Your emotions make sense to me, and I am here with you in this feeling. To do this, you have to listen for the feeling behind the facts. When she talks about her boss changing a deadline, the fact is the deadline. The feeling is disrespect, anxiety, or injustice. Your job is to connect with the feeling, not the fact. Think about the last time she was upset about something. Was your first impulse to offer a solution like, "You should do this," or was it to simply understand her experience by saying, "I can see why that would make you feel that way"? You can do this by using validating language, which works like magic. Instead of offering solutions, say things like, "Wow, that sounds incredibly frustrating," or "I can totally see why you would feel hurt by that," or "It makes perfect sense why you'd feel so unappreciated in that situation." You are not necessarily agreeing with the facts of the story. You are simply confirming that her emotional reaction to the story is valid. Before you even think about a solution, ask questions to go deeper into her experience. What was the hardest part of that for you? This proves you are genuinely interested in her emotional world, not just in checking, problem solved, offer to-do list. This is what makes her feel like she has a true partner. Pillar number 3, creating unshakable emotional safety. The third pillar is creating unshakable emotional safety. This is the profound feeling she has when she knows she can be 100% herself with you. Her good parts, her bad parts, her silly moments, and her sad moments, without any fear of judgment, ridicule, or abandonment. This is the absolute bedrock of all lasting love and deep intimacy. Many men accidentally sabotage this feeling of safety without even realizing it. They use cutting sarcasm during a serious moment. They get defensive when she brings up an uncomfortable feeling. They minimize her concerns by saying, "It's not a big deal." Or they are emotionally inconsistent, warm and engaged one day, cold and distant the next. This kind of environment forces her to walk on eggshells. It forces her to wear a mask, and no real connection can ever exist between two masks. The solution is to consciously become her safe harbor, a man who is consistent, reliable, and fundamentally non-judgmental. Your emotional stability becomes her anchor in the chaotic storms of life. To build this, you must first eliminate judgmental language from your vocabulary. Phrases like, "You're overreacting," "You're being too sensitive," or "Why are you making a big deal out of this?" are relationship poison. They tell her that her feelings are wrong or invalid, forcing her to shut down. I want you to ask yourself Is your presence a place where she can be her complete, messy, authentic self? Or do you notice that she only shows you the easy, polished version of herself? Next, you have to become a vault. When she shares something vulnerable with you, a past mistake, a current insecurity, that information must be treated as sacred. You must never, ever bring it up later as ammunition in an argument. This builds a level of trust that is almost unbreakable. Finally, you must practice emotional consistency. This doesn't mean you can't have bad days. It means you manage your own moods responsibly. It's about being able to say, "I've had a rough day and I'm feeling irritable, but it has nothing to do with you." This allows her to relax, knowing that the man she comes home to is always, fundamentally, on her side. When a woman feels this level of safety, she will give you a level of trust and loyalty that most men can only dream of. Pillar number 4, the currency of consistent care. The fourth pillar is what I call the currency of consistent care. Men often fall into the grand gesture trap. They think that the big, expensive, movie-like moments are what truly show they care. They save all their effort for her birthday, an anniversary, or Valentine's Day. But the real fabric of a deep emotional connection isn't built on a few yearly milestones. It is woven, thread by thread, in the small, seemingly insignificant moments of daily life. The man who is disengaged and inattentive for weeks, but then buys an expensive gift, will find that his grand gesture starts to feel hollow. It feels like a desperate attempt to make up for an emotional deficit. A woman lives in the moments, not just the milestones. She feels loved in the everyday texture of the relationship. The solution is to show you care through small, consistent, and thoughtful acts that constantly signal to her, "You are on my mind." These are like daily deposits into the relationship's emotional bank account. Now, if you are committed to building this kind of unbreakable bond and are ready to create something truly profound, I want you to pause this video and comment, "I build connections," below. This isn't just a comment. It's a declaration to yourself that you choose depth over shallow games. To practice consistent care, you must first learn to remember the details. It is a superpower. When she mentions she has an important presentation, send a simple text later that day. "Hey, thinking of you. Hope the presentation went great." That text is worth more than 100 roses because it shows you were truly listening and that you care about her world. Next, practice proactive attunement. Anticipate her needs. If she's had a brutal week at work, run a bath for her without being asked. Grab her favorite snack at the store just because. Finally, use non-sexual touch generously. Hold her hand while you're walking. Put your arm around her on the couch. Give her a hug from behind while she's making coffee. These small points of contact maintain a constant current of warmth and affection that isn't just a prelude to sex. It is a constant affirmation of your partnership. Pillar number 5, mastering heart-to-heart communication. The fifth pillar is mastering heart-to-heart communication. This means moving beyond the boring, transactional conversations that fill most of our days and actually starve intimacy. Too many couples get stuck in a routine of logistical checklists. How was your day? Good. Yours? Fine. What's for dinner? That kind of talk exchanges information, but it builds zero actual connection. Over time, this leaves a woman feeling completely alone and unseen. Even when you are sitting right next to her, the relationship starts to feel like a business partnership for managing life's logistics, rather than a passionate journey shared between two souls. This is a silent killer of long-term attraction. The solution is to consciously and intentionally create space to share your inner worlds. You must have conversations about your dreams, your fears, your values, and your memories. These are the conversations that weave two separate lives into a single, shared story. Think about your last deep conversation with her that wasn't about a problem or a plan. When was it? If you can't remember, that's a warning sign. To make this happen, you must create dedicated, distraction-free space. You cannot have a deep, meaningful conversation while you are both scrolling on your phones with the TV on in the background. Set aside even 15 minutes to be fully present with one another. Instead of the generic, "How was your day?" you need to ask deeper, more creative, open-ended questions. Questions like, "What was the most interesting thought you had today?" Or, "What's a goal you're excited about right now, big or small?" These questions open the doors to her inner world. But this is a two-way street, not an interrogation. You have to practice self-disclosure, too. Share a meaningful memory from your childhood. Talk about a movie that really made you think. Express a hope or a fear you have for the future. Your authenticity and your willingness to open up first is what gives her the permission and the safety to do the same. Pillar number 6. The magnetism of emotional stability. The sixth pillar is the powerful and often underrated quality of emotional stability. In a chaotic and unpredictable world, a man who has a calm, centered, and stable emotional core is an incredibly attractive and reassuring force for a woman. An emotionally unstable man, on the other hand, is a source of constant anxiety. If he is overly reactive, easily angered, prone to wild mood swings, or consumed by his own insecurities, his moods become a roller coaster that she is forced to ride against her will. She never knows which version of him she is coming home to: the happy, loving partner or the angry, withdrawn stranger. This forces her to become the manager of his emotions, constantly trying to predict and soothe his state. This role is exhausting, and it utterly drains away her attraction. A woman cannot feel safe, open, and feminine with a man who is a ticking time bomb. The solution is to become her anchor by cultivating your own strong internal foundation. You need to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. A thermometer merely reflects the temperature of the room. It gets hot when things get heated. A thermostat, however, sets the temperature. When you and your partner face a stressful situation, do you tend to be the thermostat who calms the room, or the thermometer who just gets hotter along with it? Your calmness during a crisis is a superpower. It gives her the freedom to be emotional, because she trusts that you can handle the storm without sinking the ship. You can develop this by building your own emotional resilience. Through practices like mindfulness, regular exercise, and nurturing a sense of self-worth that is not dependent on her approval. When faced with a tough situation, train yourself to pause before you react. That small gap between the stimulus and your response can be the difference between a thoughtful, connecting reaction and a knee-jerk, damaging one. And crucially, learn not to personalize her emotions. When she is upset, see her feelings as information about her inner state, not as a judgment on your character. This allows you to support her through her emotions, rather than making her emotions all about you. Pillar number 7. The final key: leading with intent. The seventh and final pillar that ties everything together is leading with intent. An extraordinary emotional connection never, ever happens by accident. It is something you must consciously, deliberately, and intentionally build and maintain. Most men are completely passive when it comes to the emotional health of their relationship. They focus on the logistics, their career, their finances, planning the next vacation, and they assume that the connection will just take care of itself as long as the external stuff is handled. This passivity forces the woman to become the emotional manager of the relationship. She becomes the one who always has to bring up the issues, suggest quality time, and monitor the emotional temperature. This role is not only exhausting for her, it is deeply unattractive. She wants a partner to create a beautiful relationship with, not another project that she has to manage all on her own. The solution is to take active, masculine ownership of the relationship's emotional tone and direction. This isn't about being controlling or dominant. It is a form of positive leadership that creates the conditions for intimacy to flourish. You must be the initiator. Think about your relationship right now. Who is the primary emotional manager? Is that a role you have consciously shared, or has she been forced to take it on by default? Don't wait for her to complain that you've been distant. Be the one to say, "Hey, I feel like we've been a bit disconnected lately. Let's put our phones away tonight and just talk." Don't wait for a special occasion to be romantic. Plan a simple date that is focused purely on connection. Intentionally schedule brief connection check-ins, asking powerful questions like, "How have you been feeling about us lately?" Or, "Is there anything you need more of from me?" This sends the powerful message that you are actively invested in her happiness and the health of the relationship. Most importantly, you must lead by example. You cannot expect her to be vulnerable if you remain a closed book. You can't expect her to be validating if you are always trying to fix her. Be the first to be accessible, the first to validate, and the first to show consistent care. Your leadership sets the tone for the entire dynamic. In the end, men have been sold a false story about what women truly want. They've been told to focus on their wallets, their muscles, and their status. And while those things might catch a woman's eye, they will never, ever capture her heart. Here is the final and most important lesson, the 7 pillars we've discussed today: accessibility, validation, safety, care, deep communication, stability, and leadership are not a checklist of things you do for a woman. They are the qualities of a man who has done the work on himself. This path isn't easy. It requires the courage to look inward, to develop your own emotional depth, and to be present in a way most men are too afraid to be. But when you can provide this level of emotional connection, you become irreplaceable. You become her partner, her confidant, her best friend, and her lover, all in one. You become the man she doesn't just want, but the man she deeply respects, the man she trusts, and the man she can't imagine her life without. Now, I want to hear from you. Of these 7 pillars, which one will you commit to working on, starting this week? Let me know in the comments below. Your commitment can inspire another man here to do the same. If this guide resonated with you, and you believe in building deeper, more authentic connections, do 3 things. First, hit the like button. Second, share this video with a friend or brother who needs to hear this message. And finally, to continue this journey, subscribe to the Stoic Manhood Guide, because in our next video, we'll break down the single biggest mistake men make when a woman starts to pull away. You won't want to miss it. This has been the Stoic Manhood Guide. Remember, they told you to be a rock, but the man she'll never leave is the one who became a harbor.